it wasn't until sort of COVID came around where I had a lot of time spent in the house and with myself and realized the world is actually kind of so much greater than what I had been born and, surrounded by.
Once you expand your circle and you start networking, that's like one step closer to community.
Having the community allows you to, get advice from people, but not just that, it also allows you to get support when people do criticize you.
The moment you choose to not listen is the moment you begin to climb your inner mountain.
When you're confident in your work, when you're confident in whatever you do, and you do it with your whole 100% heart, then that is what is going to get people talking, and that's what's going to get you success.
Welcome back to this season of The Climb, a journey where listening to your heart reveals your true potential. With the Intermountain philosophy, on this show, we're here to teach you how to embrace the limitless nature of growth.
Women are reshaping the world, driven by their dreams. Our mission is to empower you to listen to your heart, pursue those dreams, to create a community where women like you can begin the climb to true success together.
In a world of comparisons, reconnect with why your work matters through inspiring stories of female entrepreneurs all around the world.
Discover what it means to build your legacy with authenticity and face your inner challenge with confidence.
Join us on this podcast as we explore how to become fearless, unleashing your true potential for you and your business.
If you choose to accept, your adventure awaits.
Ready to climb your inner mountain? The climb starts now.
Thank you so much, Sabreena, for taking the time to be on the Climb podcast today. We're so excited to have you. What are you most excited for about our conversation today?
Well, first, I want to say thank you for having me. This is so exciting. I've never really done this before. And I'm so excited to just be able to open up and share like my story in hopes that it will help someone else, be in the same path as me or with the same aspirations.
Absolutely. That's definitely one of the reasons why we wanted to bring you on is your story, your path, where you are at in your life currently could definitely resonate with some of our listeners. But also in this episode, we really wanted to bring to life the community that our podcast also is emphasizing, the Intermountain Foundation community, where like-minded women of all stages of life who are either wanting to become entrepreneurs or pursuing entrepreneurship are already can join together online in a community to help make those dreams come true. So specifically, I want to take it back to you for a moment, Sabreena. You've had a really unique path to where you are now, from thinking you want to be a doctor and being a biologist to deciding that, that really wasn't you to where you are now today. So talk to us a little bit about your journey from struggling with the self-doubt of what you wanted to really do and who you really wanted to be and that moment of that realization for you.
Okay, so starting from the beginning, when I was a really young child, I've always been a creative person, and I've always had big aspirations. I used to say I want to be an actor. I want to, sell duct tape wallets. I want to do nails. I had all these just, big dreams of becoming, using my creative abilities to, make a career out of it. But, at the time and, all throughout high school, even, it was always just it became unrealistic. It wasn't necessarily that people were always saying oh, that's not possible. It was just ingrained in general, everyone, it wasn't possible to be an artist. It wasn't possible to be any sort of creator. You need to go to college. You need to, and if you don't like your job, oh, well, nobody likes their job. You gotta just do it to make money and do it to make a living. So I basically kind of put all of these creative endeavors on hold for the rest of my high school career and middle school all the way into college. I became a biology major. That was my first sort of decision I made as an adult. I was like, I'm going to be a biology major and I'm going to be a doctor because that's what I have to do. That's, I got all the pressure to pursue that because that's what makes money. But then once I entered college and actually started pursuing that degree, I realized quickly this is not for me. I failed like all my classes going into my first semester and into the second semester too. And I just it wasn't until sort of COVID came around where I had a lot of time spent in the house and with myself and realized, the world is actually kind of so much greater than what I had been born and, surrounded by. And I realized, you know what, I'm going to change my major. It is possible to, pursue something creative. It is possible. So I changed to a film major. And from there, I transferred colleges to Cal State Northridge. I started off in a city called Fresno, California at Fresno State. And then I transferred to Cal State Northridge. And that is where my mind opened up, meeting so many people from different backgrounds and just realizing there is so much more. And you don't have to be held down to whatever your surroundings or the little bubble that you grew up around.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like finding your tribe is such an important part of any journey, especially in the journey of coming into womanhood and as personally, like, and also in your career as well. So, how did you discover the people who truly uplift and empower you, and what role have they played in your growth?
Right. When you say finding your tribe, that was the real thing that really allowed me to explore other options, and make me realize that, wow, I don't have to do this cookie cutter concrete, path to life. So basically, like I said, born and raised in a city called Fresno, I went to school in the nearby city called Clovis because the schools were like really good, but it was a lot more closed minded. A lot of the people were closed minded. It was more very conservative. And, so a lot of the people I went to school with and was surrounded by, even my parents would sometimes be like, you need to be more like this person. You need to be more like so and so. And, but basically what made me the first person I talked to make me realize, you know, who do I know that has done something unconventional? And my uncle, luckily, was the first person I could think of. I called him on the phone one night, and he chatted to me about how he's a screenwriter, and he grew up in an era that was a lot more a lot more conservative and just more old fashioned than it is today, as it is. So he's he told me how despite everyone's doubt and despite everyone's,
Like criticism.
criticism, yes, criticism, he still went to school. I think he was a theater major and he became a successful screenwriter and living comfortably, in West Hollywood. It's his success story that inspired me and sort of made me want to actually go off and pursue, even though it was a little bit of a risk and it was scary, to do something like that. But we talked and he sort of told me how the biggest step in overcoming that is the first step is being, doing something that is challenging for you, I guess, and taking that first step. And then that's where you start to find a community. And so basically, how I did that to eventually moving and joining, a new school, Cal State Northridge, and into my major, which was journalism with the option in PR. I built a community of people around me, and having the community allows you to, get advice from people, but not just that, it also allows you to get support when people do criticize you. And at the end of the day, the biggest obstacle in getting past that is mentally in your own self. And the only way your own self can move past that is by having the support, if that makes sense.
It makes absolute sense. I think as women, especially, we are faced with all sorts of criticism, whether it's criticism from our peers. In the prior conversation, you mentioned, being in the wrong environment, rather, with like-minded people, and like making yourself feel like you had to be something you're not. It was hard, or whether it's from our family having good intentions, trying to make us go the right path or the comfortable path, can also be challenging, because you love your family and you respect them, but still in some way it doesn't really resonate. And so it's incredibly challenging. How did you learn to really look within and see for yourself what your true purpose is, even when you were faced with that negativity? Do you feel like there was a leap of faith moment for you that you took that maybe after that call with your uncle or whenever it was that made you say, you know what, enough's enough. Like, I need to listen to my own heart?
Right. So even my own parents, it's never that they, luckily my parents are very progressive people and they never like forced me into anything. However, the thing is their mindset is just more old fashioned. They're older people, of course, and
Yes.
I think that they wanted me to do something that they know would be a for sure way to path to success, and
Right.
they were they're good intentions, obviously. And I think people around me, whether it was criticism, it was either criticism negatively or it was just that same sort of mindset where it's just not realistic to do something like that. And your goals should be do something that's going to let you graduate your biology major, finish your degree, and boom, be, whatever you want after that.
Was there a moment where you said, okay, enough's enough. I'm not going to listen to anybody anymore. I'm going to take this one step and start listening to myself? Was it like a specific moment or was it a culmination of events for you?
I think one of the last breaking point was this one chemistry exam at school. I don't know any of this. This is foreign to me. It was like the final exam, and I was already doing pretty bad in the class, but at that moment, I started crying. I walked outside, and I told the teacher, "I'm sorry, I can't do the final. I can't do this." I walked out of the final, and that class was a bust. And I said, I why am I in school right now? Why am I like doing all this if I don't even like this? I'm not even passionate about this. I, and again, this is not to say that like school is not a very helpful, resourceful tool. Of course, if you're privileged enough to go to school, you should absolutely take advantage of that because not everyone is privileged enough to go to school. But I don't think it's an absolute necessity because the exact thing that I'm about to say is, why are you spending time in school? Why are you spending so much time doing something that you're not passionate about when you could save all of this effort? Like, you could be using all this effort and energy towards something you do enjoy. And through that, the better you get at something, the more into it you are. That's how you find other people who are also into that as well. And that's how you become something, and make something of that. So I think it was that moment in particular, but it was a culmination of all of those elements. And that's exactly what happened. I dropped everything and I said, I'm going to change my major. And through that, instantly, it started connecting with other people in that. And with school in particular, if you do go to school, they give you so many resources and groups that they give you a lot of means of connections with people, if that makes sense, and networking. And I think through that is that's just one great way to find, paths of other paths to get, to where you want to be, if
No,
that
that's
makes
a
sense.
really good point, actually, because once you expand your circle and you start networking, like meaning talking to people outside of the people that you already know, that's like one step closer to community. So, if you could give somebody listening who's a little shy a tip on how to start networking when they're already like overwhelmed with everything, like if you could like pretend your younger sister came up to you and was like, "What do I do? What does networking even mean? Like what's a tip that you would give for somebody?"
hmm Okay, so literally, if for what I would tell someone who's like shy, and I would say I'm the same exact way. I'm very jumpy right now, even at this like interview, just because that's my first time, and I feel like there's a lot in my head right now. And I can tell you firsthand, as like a shy person who, may not be the best spoken, at first. I would definitely say the first way to sort of find your people is if there's any sort of community, maybe classes. For example, there was a place in Fresno called CMAC. It was like a place that provided like free classes that did like videography classes, production classes, stuff like that, where it's like repeated sessions, you know. So then you're almost kind of forced to find other people, and there's a lot of like communities like that within your city or wherever. You like literally, especially nowadays, you don't have to be in necessarily in like Los Angeles in particular if you're doing like filmmaking, like whatever it may be. You don't have to be in a specific area because in your own area at this point, you know, especially with COVID, I feel like it expanded a lot of, you know, those types of careers to remote. And basically, there's always a community of people. There's always someone out there that is similar to you. And even on social media, looking on social media and connecting with people virtually as well, I think is something that is very helpful, especially, you know, if you're not the most comfortable and if you are not ready to, you know, release whatever you have created. If you know, you're not sure what to do there, or you want people to connect with beforehand, that's definitely the best way, I think, to
Yeah.
go about
So
that.
I agree. So it's like you're basically saying either look for free resources in your community, one. Two, if they happen to be classes, even better for the person who's like, I don't really feel like talking to somebody, but maybe they'll feel like talking to me if we do the same
Right.
class together. And
Hmm.
then three, like virtually. So through like online like pages or whatever.
Yes, and then also too, um, like there's like internships you can like apply to as well, and you know that is another one of those things where it's like you kind of have to go multiple times, so it's like forces you into it, and then that also shows you like, well, is this really for me? Like you can see
Mm,
exactly which like specific sector you want to maybe pursue, you know, in particular, if that makes sense. Like, for example, if you were wanting to be like a filmmaker or something in that field, for example,
right.
you know, there's a lot of internships you can do, and maybe you want to be, oh, I want to be like an audio engineer. Maybe I want to be, you know, it'll help you discover yourself a little bit better, I think, as well. And also, too, hearing the stories of others that have succeeded in your career path just is also very beneficial as well, because you know if you're feeling criticism from other people, and just know that those people faced it and probably a lot worse too, and you know it's possible to overcome these things. And I know this is easier said than done, but allowing what people say, allowing other people's criticism to affect and hinder your growth is, at the end of the day, you're giving them the most power, and a way to overcome that is by taking it upon yourself to just not let it affect you. Because realistically, if you take your own emotions out of it, what those people say have no actual effect on what you can do.
So basically, that was powerful what you said. You said um, not letting others get like not giving the criticism of others or the opinions of others be the thing that commands your life. Like you are
Right.
in control of your own life. And I think that really relates closely to the Intermountain book, which is what inspired this whole like podcast and community. I think, you know, Diane Wong, the author, by the way, y'all, if you have not read the book yet and you're listening to this podcast, please go listen to it. I don't know what you're doing. You definitely need to listen to it. We'll link it below. But anyways, you've read the book before and you've spoken about like your struggle with ego and self-doubt and, you know, similar things that Diane wrote about for you specifically in creative fields. So like what part of the book resonated with you, and how has being part of a like-minded community for Intermountain kind of helped you embrace your true path despite what everyone else is saying and the pressures from the outside world?
Hmm. Yes. So there is a part in the book where she basically says she had started her first day at Microsoft and she had no idea what she was doing. Like, you know, it was a lot different than her last, you know, endeavor, and it was just something. Just when you're in life doing something that you are, you know, you're not used to, it's called like being adaptable, having adaptability, and being able to show overcome. I Like I said earlier, when you have a challenge, those are meant to make you better, and so by overcoming these things and allowing yourself to be adaptable to whatever it is, you are bettering yourself, and you're also sort of proving the stereotypes wrong, proving the stereotypes or the criticizers, you're proving them wrong essentially by being able to be that adaptable person and be, um, maybe you've never done something before, but okay, I will be that. I will do it, and I will show that I can do this. And in that same chapter, she said it's having like a victimhood like mindset,
Mm.
sort of that, which is essentially allowing people who criticize you. That's what it is when you're allowing that to affect you. That's victimizing yourself, and it's really about um, overcoming that. And in that same chapter, she said, what you do have control over, you can take charge of, you know what I mean? But you don't have
Yes.
control over what other people say. So you can't, it's what's out of your control is out of your control, You can only
Right.
control what you have control of. So essentially that's that part especially meant a lot to me, because when people, even outside of just like career endeavors and creative endeavors and stuff like that. Just, growing up in life, I had a lot of people pick on me and stuff. And my mom would always say, like, you know, if you let those jealous girls say, if you let what they say bother you, like they won, like, that's not,
Mm.
you're stronger than that. And if you allow that to affect you, then that's your choice. You have the ability to overcome that. And, like I said, it's easier said than done, but I feel like having that community around you is what helps the most, being able to talk
I
to them and deal with that criticism, not just by yourself. You know what I mean?
Right. And I feel like the moment you choose to not listen is the moment you begin to climb your inner mountain. You can't start the journey if you haven't even like wanted, like if you never took the first step. And I feel like that's one of
Right.
the very first steps. And I think something you told me earlier, like the last time we spoke, was talking about the idea of faking it till you make it to kind of like
Yes.
convince yourself in the meantime, right? So
Yes. And
let's circle it back to that for me.
yes, I was gonna say also, like, whether you want to call it manifestation or delusion or, faking it till you make it. That's, sometimes I call it being delusional, because I'm like, I already got this. This is already mine, and I know this, whatever, whatever it may be. I know my short film is gonna be the best. I know I already know this is gonna win every film festival. This is gonna be, it. Believing that and genuinely kind of repeating that to yourself, again, not just with that, but in life. If you hold your head up high, and I don't care if a girl thinks my outfit's weird, okay, and she's probably mad that she doesn't have she's probably mad she can't pull it off. You know what I mean? But
Right.
the more that you actually like kind of fake that mindset and pretend, the more it starts to become real, because it shows when you're confident in your work, when you're confident in whatever you do, and you do it with your whole 100% heart, then that is what is going to get people talking. And, that's what's going to get that's what's going to get you success. You know what I mean? Confidence is like the best. Again, like I said, this applies to everything in life. I feel like having the confidence, even if you have to fake that confidence, is what really will get you where you want to be. Because if you don't take that step, then, like, for example, if you're nervous about, posting or just actually pursuing your career path, whatever it may be, your entrepreneurial path or whatever, having that confidence and just saying, okay, go do it. You always miss the shots you don't take. So that's like something.
100%. Right. And it makes me wonder too, like for those listening that may have a similar experience to you, maybe they're still figuring out like, okay, well, how do I find my self-worth? How do I, find those things if I'm faking it? Do you find that even though you're kind of like convincing yourself to do it, that it's actually helped you be more confident and start to help you love yourself more?
Yes, because, you eventually start to embrace the flaws that you perceived as something negative. You know, I used to always criticize myself for being weird, for being different than my friends who were very much not like me. I was, you know, always had this friend group that I would try so hard to be like, and I would really take it to heart how, you know, everything they would say, because I just wanted to be like them so bad, and I was so critici- overly critical over myself, and why am I interested in all these weird things? Why can't I be more like? I remember one year before school started, I told all my friends, I was like, you guys, this year I'm changing my personality. I'm not gonna be a weirdo anymore. I'm not gonna be weird. I'm just gonna not be weird. And that was like normal for me to say, like, what? And it's just, now that I've, like, you know, become an adult and like my frontal lobe is like cooking, I realize, like, hold on, I actually can make friends with people that are like me. You know, I can embrace those aspects about myself, and you know, I can use them to become what I am now today in the career path that I've always wanted to be in, and you know, enjoying my career rather than going, you know, to a 9 to 5 every day. That I'd rather die
Yeah,
than go to
you'd
work,
rather do
you know.
anything else other than
Yes,
go to a 9 to 5,
just to get
right?
paid. Yes, and
Right.
so basically, I think, oh my gosh, yeah, literally the moment I discovered like that there's other people out there like me, and I didn't discover that until I said, oh my gosh, I am so much more than what these people are making me out to be, and you know, I've never deserved the sort of treatment that I got
Mm.
by the people that would call me weird, and which were my friends at the time. You know, I always, um, you know, would allow myself to get beaten up emotionally by, and take everything they would say to my soul and just believe it. And so, you know, once I discovered I am that girl, like I really am, all of this stuff, these traits about me are good and these should be embraced, you know what I mean? And so
Yes.
um it did take a while to figure that out, but you know, after giving yourself those affirmations and, you know, realizing that this is a good thing, and, you know, embracing all of those, whether it's weird, whether it's quirky, just embracing those things about yourself is always the best, because that's how you're going to eventually attract other people that are like-minded.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool that you said earlier, that journey of trying to, like, taking it back for a second, right? There's a moment where you took the chemistry final and you were like, yo, what the heck? I don't even like this. I don't know any of this. To let me start finding my people, to okay, well, maybe I can do the things that I like. Maybe it's not film, but I can try to be creative. So you started posting on social, and then you ended up like live streaming, right? Which is like,
Right.
to say, you know, for someone listening, they're like, what a big pivot from a traditional path to, I'm going to be a doctor, to I'm going to be this awesome content creator and live streamer, right? Do
Yes.
you feel like what you're doing now and what you're in your passion, like, why are you so passionate about it?
Right, and it's funny you say that. I almost still like laugh like when it is said out loud, like, "Oh, you're live streaming, you're on TikTok." Like, and people, especially if I tell people, it's sort of just, it sounds laughable because it's like, "Oh, you're TikToking for a living, you're doing this," and like it almost sounds unbelievable. And you know, it's crazy because a lot of these sort of careers paths are attainable, whether it's social media or, you know, but basically, what got me, how I got here specifically was, you know, when I transferred schools and I moved to Northridge from Fresno, I obviously like didn't have like a job. It was my first time moving away from my parents' house, so I was really on my own for the first time. Like I was in school, but I was also like making no money because I was like, I don't have a job.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I did have one job. I got fired from it so fast. Yeah, basically, I worked with like kids, and it did not work
Yeah.
out. But and so I was like, looking at all these like side hustles, side gigs on like Craigslist, like just, trying modeling stuff because I'm like, what else is there? I was really having a hard time finding something, but I also wanted to do something that I enjoyed, because like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, something about me, I just really I know nobody wants to do a job that they don't like, obviously, but I just feel like I just dread it. Like I would have almost rather been broke than like do a job at a normal conventional. I just couldn't, maintain one. I would get fired a lot. I'm not even gonna lie. I've been fired from like 5 jobs. Eventually came up across one that was like a social media content creator. And I was like, okay, let's like try this out. It was for like a clothing brand, like an independent clothing brand here in Los Angeles. And, so I started with them and basically just, I thought it was going to be like modeling and posting content for them and stuff. But all of a sudden, like first day ever, day one, they throw me and they say, okay, we're going to do a 3 hour live stream. You're going to be selling these, jeans here. And, this goes back to that adaptability thing from Diane's book where she was talking about being adaptable, because in that moment I was so like shocked and nervous because I had never done that before in my life, and I was like, not confident in it at all. But you know what? I said, yeah, I got you. 3 hour live stream. No worries. Let's do it. Like, let's get it. And we did it. I won't say it was the best ever. I won't say it was
But you
any,
did it.
but
You
I
did it.
did do it.
Instead of
And
being
that was that.
afraid, you like went
Yes.
for it.
Right. So it's like I took that big step over that rock. I might have tripped and fell a little bit, but you know what? I stumbled. I got back up and we went and started working with them for the next couple months after that. And I was, back to back live stream every other day. And yeah, that was the beginning starts to, the live stream path and the social media career path, because it was, my initial plans had started off, to be like a filmmaker and to do something of that, you know, category. But I didn't know exactly where I wanted to be in that. And so I think through a lot of these things, it allowed me to navigate and it wasn't necessarily like me going out of my way to specifically find what I wanted to do. It was just through my experiences trying to expand my knowledge. That is how it just came to me, and it sort of fell in my lap almost. And basically, after I was, working with them for a while, I discovered more that this is a growing career. This is a growing industry that
Like
I want
specifically
to.
e-commerce and
E-commerce,
is what
yes, right, and I can not only make my own creative videos through this, I can also, further my career path through that. So basically, essentially, just doing what I love and what I'm passionate about as a career. And I realized there's all kinds of agencies, and I built my LinkedIn. I built my LinkedIn portfolio and stuff, and I found out there's a lot of people that are interested in me too. Like that, I never would have thought that. Like I just have a big imposter syndrome, I guess, when it came to that, because I was the way I first found the agency I work with right now was it was through LinkedIn, and I think I messaged them first, and then we set up an interview. I was very surprised I even got the interview because they seemed so official and like put together, and I'm just like silly old little me, and I just
that
didn't think.
mindset, right? You felt small and you felt like this imposter. So it's like you look at any other big player and you're like, oh, well, who would even want to talk to me, right? But like
Right.
that, I feel like we all have that moment where we're like going for something big, but our mind tries to like prevent us from going for it. So you didn't let it prevent you. You just said, all right, let's pretend I didn't hear that. Let's go for it.
Right. I said, this is going to be funny. They're going to realize that that
All
I don't
the
know, I
stuff
was
that you
not the
did
right
yourself.
choice,
Yeah.
And, looking back on that now, that mindset, if you think that about yourself, that's true. Luckily that's not what happened. And sometimes it does take those like unexpected like wins, I guess, to get your mindset out of that. But really, after that, I realized, I am the ish. I'm that
Yes.
girl, and I'm, everything that I worked for. You have to know that you worked hard for, where you're at. And, so that's basically what happened. So I didn't think anything of it. And then I do get an interview, and then the interview, it goes well. And then boom, second interview, and boom. And here we are today. And it was instantly, I knew this is what I want to do and pursue for, the long term. And it's just, at school, I'm a journalism PR major, and it's a lot of what I do correlates with what I do in my work as well. So it just went hand in hand, and worked out for the best, and it wasn't even on purpose. So I think if you just do what you enjoy, and you know connect and network with those people that you meet, it will eventually just fall in your lap with you know what I mean?
Right. So for those people who feel like they're torn between like the right path, the traditional path or whatever, and the calling of their passion or listening to their heart, like what would you say that person that's stuck at that crossroads to help them find the clarity and courage to make the right decision for them?
Yes, because I was stuck at right there too for a long time, especially when I was in Fresno. I just thought I felt hopeless, and that's when I first applied to a different school. It was when I had like just given up. I was like, I can't do any more. I can't live in this town anymore. I can't, And again, you don't have to move towns because that's not always possible, and that's not the solution. But I did choose to transfer schools, and um, basically what I realized, like when I did transfer schools, and when I realized how many more people exist outside of like my circle of people, when you actually see how the people who became successful in what they did, you have to look back on how they got there. And that is
Okay.
oftentimes the very first thing that you do is always going to be the hardest and the scariest and the most risky part of it all, and that's the biggest barrier kind of that I feel you have to get over in order to begin an upward path.
Yeah, no, you're on the nail with it. So it's like somebody that's stuck between what I should do and what I want to do. So
Yes.
like your example is great, is like looking at the successful people out there, whoever it is, Steve Jobs, Oprah, whoever it is, and all those people, they started by taking one big jump and one big risk in spite of what everyone else was saying, is what I'm
Right.
understanding you say.
Right. And the other thing is too, like following, it sounds cliche, but like following your heart instead of like always your mind. That is always the driving force behind, for me, it was my mind, and it was other people. I was letting other people, like, if I don't do this, everyone else is going to think I'm a failure. Everyone's going to think I'm a loser if I don't do this exact thing. And then I also had the other side of it, which is like, if I do this, everyone's going to think I'm weird. Everyone's going to think I'm dumb, stupid.
Right.
I'm essentially, it's quieting the voices in your mind and what other people are thinking, and listening to what's inside and your heart. Of course, in doing so, when you are following your heart, there's also calculated decisions that you must have to. It goes hand in hand, But
Right.
at the end of the day, what really matters is what your heart wants, and that's where you're gonna gravitate. Anyways, you're just never gonna be truly content if you don't listen to your
How do you
what
know
you
you're
want.
listening to your heart and not your head? Like, because I feel like with brains like us, creatives, business people, women overall, we tend to overthink, like just in general, maybe that's how we were built. I don't know. How do you identify that? Is it like the way you feel after you take that decision? You're like, oh, I did this and I know that was me listening to my heart, or the other way around. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And that's a good question, because literally, I used to, when people would say that, I would literally like wonder, like, okay, how are you listening to your heart? Like, how
Right.
do you do that? Like,
Yeah.
literally, yeah, I didn't understand that either. And then what I came to realize, it is something that I started to realize after the fact, and how I came to realize that I was listening to my heart is, you know, I am the only person, out of my circle, of friends, that just, I feel like I'm one of few people who sort of went to do what I ended up doing. And I didn't really have influence from or pressure from other people to do this. And it was a risk because I don't have a for sure, landing spot of, I don't have anything to fall back on
Right.
necessarily. And I feel genuinely fulfilled by the people around me, and the choices I have made have allowed other blessings to fall into my life as well. And so I feel like one thing when it comes to actually decision making, when it comes to making big decisions and not allowing your mind to get in the way of that,
Right.
and when listening to your heart, like literally speaking, I think when making those big decisions, to listen to your heart, it's best to clear your mind and do something that soothes your soul, go out to the beach, listen to the waves, something like that.
Like disconnect from the noise, and
Yes,
and however that means for you, whether it's going off social or going into nature, like that's your first step recommendation to listening to your heart is like silencing the noise first.
absolutely, yes. And even my dad would tell me too, like growing up, because I did mention earlier I had some issues with friends that I was really broken down a lot, mentally and emotionally. They really sort of affected me. And one thing was my dad would just say, turn your phone off, just turn it off and just like do something, like don't think about them, and turning your phone off and just disconnecting from outside noise, just like you said, is what really will allow you to find your true self, what you truly want. And, yeah, it's speaking of in like a big picture sense. Yeah.
Right. So then you silenced the noise, and then you said something interesting earlier, which was the also another moment that you listen to your heart is when the decisions in your life and the people around your life bring you blessings and fulfill you and joy, not the other way around, right?
Right, exactly. And I think one thing that I still have a hard time with this, but actually I don't even find myself in these sort of situations as much anymore. But, like I sort of said about this, friends I was with and just the situations I would be in and stuck in, I would allow myself to um, be treated the way that I thought I deserved. And, even if I wasn't happy where I was at, if I hated my job, if I, oh, that's just the way life is, if I'm being treated this way unfairly, whatever it may be, you don't have to let that is absolutely false. You do not have to let that continue. You don't have to stand for that behavior. And I think, especially for women, it's a lot easier to normalize, to accept the treatments that
Mm,
we are less than, and not get that job upgrade that we should have gotten or that we deserved. And and seeing someone, maybe a man, get something that they were less qualified for, you know what I mean, just things like that. And just being treated with as we are less than, you don't have to accept that treatment. And that's always something that you need to take a step and get out of there and find the people and find the community of people that do appreciate you, because there's always people that will.
What's been your favorite part, like speaking of that community and choosing to not let your current state of life be your life? Like, what's been your favorite part so far about what you've been learning about the Intermountain Foundation community and like the work that this group is trying to really build and foster for women?
So I realized that life at the end of the day is not always, it's not all about your job and it's not all about your career, but that is a decent part. You need a pretty much a career to, everyone needs a career to support themselves in life and to do what you enjoy. We all need money, and
Right.
we all need something. And I feel like just the combination of, and that being said, you should enjoy what you do, considering the career and working is what takes up most of our life, is dedicated to that. We should all enjoy what we do. And that is sadly not the case and it's very normalized to not like your job and settle for a career that you may, and people may think it's like they're stuck in something because they're at a certain age and they think they're too old. I think that having a community of people of all ages, whether, they're just getting started with life, you're 18, freshly, ready to flap your wings or whatever,
Fly
or
into the world like a
yes,
fresh
yes,
birdie.
right, or
Or
if you
esteemed
are
swan queens later in life. Yes.
exactly, um, or if you are ready for retirement, it doesn't matter. I think it's at the end of the day having a community of people who are all very supportive of this journey and getting to relate to people, and also getting enlightened by concepts and just ideas that you never had thought of before. You know what I mean?
100%. And it's interesting too, because you said like this a big theory in Intermountain. Like you have to, we all have to make a living and pay our bills, but why not do something we enjoy in the meantime? Like that's the first mountain,
Yes,
right?
and
And
something
then
that, sorry to interrupt
no, go
you,
ahead,
but
go ahead.
I wanted to also mention before I forget, in your career, like for me, and I feel like just in life, if you think like, what's the point of this? What is the point of any of this? Like, I feel like that's something people like could think too about my career or my job, and specifically like, well, what's the point? Like, and I just feel like the point is making a difference in somebody's like life, or making them feel a different way. If you're an artist, the point of creating your arts and creating your work and sharing it with the world is if you made someone feel differently about something, or you enlightened someone about something, if you made them feel any sort of way, I think that's always like, it's always about the impact you have on other people and the world. And so I feel like even if you're not saving lives in the surgeon's office, if you're not a businessman in New York, whatever, like if your job is not something like that, it's okay, because at the end of the day, what really matters is if I feel like whatever you produce, if other people see that, and you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
it's not just about what you do, but it's how you can make an impact in other people's lives. And like you're saying, you don't have to be a multi-million dollar investor in Wall Street, or you also don't have to be like, a doctor saving lives. Like just the little things in life can make such a big impact if you realize that what you do is like taking steps towards that.
Right.
And like for example, something small in like the online world, like let's say you post a video that makes somebody laugh for
Yeah,
that day,
someone exactly as simple
right?
as that.
And it's like you made somebody laugh, they were having a bad day, like you made somebody's life like that much better. Like I get what you're saying.
And sometimes it's seeing comments too. One time I remember I was like on live, like just with my eyeshadow, whatever, do my thing, and someone was like, I don't even come here for the eyeshadow anymore or for the makeup. I just come here to for your energy. I love your energy. You makes my
Aw.
day sing and stuff like that. And sort of comments like that make me just want to cry, because even if you don't think what you're doing is making a difference, like there is people like that, whether you have a million fans or a million supporters or one, you are making a difference in somebody's life. And so I think it's important to realize it, whether on any scale, if it's large or small, it's still helping people.
Like you matter, you have value, and you also help people more than you think you even know, basically.
Right.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's kind of wrap it up with a bow a little bit, because I am like, first of all, thank you so much for being so open and like sharing your journey of being in school and trying to figure out your passion and overcoming self-worth and navigating your career and all of the stuff that everyone goes through. Like I really, really appreciate your vulnerability and your honesty with that. So like as we wrap up today, what's one message you hope anybody listening to this can take away from your story? So if they don't take away anything at all from what we said, and they could just think one thing, what would be the one thing that you would say to that person?
It's never too late. This is something that I still struggle with to this day, because I'm not even gonna lie, I took this semester off of school, and just so I could, I just got this job and whatever, but I wanted to focus on, navigating my work and school. With school, it's never too late to go back to school. It's never too late to drop out of school and do something that you're more passionate about. It's never too late to become an artist. It's never too late to become an author. Whatever you want to do, and this goes for anyone of all ages, obviously. I really mean that it's truly never too late, because you're never going to reach your full potential or reach your full, level of happiness if you don't pursue what you feel you are meant to pursue in your heart. You know what I mean? So whether you are young or old and you already have something else going on, never hesitate to go and pursue what you really feel that you were meant to do.
Can you say it's never too late to climb your inner mountain?
It's never too late to climb your inner mountain. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. And that's, yeah. And I found that it's very true in my life. And like I said, it still is something that I worry about. Like, oh my gosh, if I don't get this done, it's never gonna happen. No, it's really important to just not listen to the outside noise, not listen to the criticism, and take the step. Really, and I know it sounds cliche, but that's really what you have to do. And
What's one way you I know I said I wanted to wrap up, but I feel like there's a question I really wanted to ask that I forgot about. But what's one way that you, like, one self-care thing that you do for yourself to, like, give that love back to yourself and kind of help calm down that noise and keep you back in touch with yourself?
I think I like to go shopping, which is not always, that's like sometimes.
I do too. Don't hate on that. I love shopping. Retail therapy.
No, literally, yes. I love taking days to myself and just doing whatever I want. And I find myself thinking to myself sometimes, like, oh my gosh, like, I can just do what I want. I can drive to the beach today. I can drive to the mountains today. I can run around and scream at the top of my lungs like a crazy person if I want today. I can just do what I want. I just really like to I'll take full days to myself. I like to go to restaurants and eat by myself. I'm not afraid to, like, do that stuff. And I think that all comes in hand with, like, self-love. Like, love yourself. Go take yourself out to dinner. Take yourself out on a picnic. Take yourself on a walk. Do those things. And I also like to ride my bike and pet cats. I love going to see, like, kittens and stuff and, like, shelters.
That makes me so happy to hear that you, like, try to give yourself a day of play, like whatever, like a free game day, like whatever it is I want to do today, I'm doing today, and I'm gonna like let myself do it and enjoy it.
Yes, like let out like the inner child, like, sort of vibes.
I love that so much. I need to do more of that. I appreciate that tip a lot.
Yes.
Well, Sabreena, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show today. If anyone wants to connect with you online or anything, tell me how they can do that.
Reach out to me. My Instagram is Zabreena, ZUHBREENA. I'm very active on there. And on TikTok, I am burrito.Breena, BURRITO, period, BREENA. And so I'm active on those social media platforms. And I wanted to also tell you, thank you very, very much, Rita. I really appreciate your patience with me, as I was very nervous today, very jittery. I feel like I was a lot smoother in previous conversations, but like I said, you guys, first time for everything. Always good to take that step. This is my first interview ever, and you know what? From here, it can only get better. So,
and you did a great job. So don't be hard on yourself. You did a great job.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Climb. Not ready for your journey to end? Make sure to join our online community and subscribe to our YouTube channel to discover your true spirit, strength, and potential today. Details in the show notes below. Need a guide for your journey? Check out our founder, Diane Wong's new book, The Inner Mountain.
Until next time, remember, You're an experiment. Focus on your own path and continue to climb your inner mountain. Thank you.